this tribe or the other tribe will not push it through. That's not the way to go. If we must achieve this, and let me also correct an impression. Nevertheless, the data says that Nigeria and Africa has low contribution to carbon emission and greenhouse gas. Adequate. But that's not 100% correct. When you go to areas where crude oil is being explored, if you are looking at Nigeria on a broad base, your assumptions are 100% correct. But if you go to the Niger Delta, where crude oil is being explored, you will find out that this narrative may be a bit incorrect. But if we generalize it with this Nigerian space, because the Niger Delta region is very, very infinitesimal, just a region, 1/6 of the region, it might be correct. But if we go down to that place, go to Port Harcourt, where we have soot challenges. Soot is the emission of carbon. And then when the rain falls, you see black rain falling. And you come to worry, some rain, when it's falling, you see white rain because of carbon emission in the atmosphere. These are dangers. But what we need to do as a people is to ensure that technologies that can be environmentally friendly, as far as those Nigerians are concerned, should be developed. And they are possible. How are they? Go back to institutions of higher learning. For instance, Petroleum Training Institute Warri can be of great assistance. University of Port Harcourt, River State, who is involved in petroleum liquidation and the rest of them, and sequestration activities, can be of very key assistance. University of Ibadan, University of Benin, these are schools that are known for petroleum analysis. Nonetheless, we also have Federal University of Petroleum Resources, FUPRE in Eforo. They are very, very key. But the only thing is that more researches need to be done to ensure that these challenges are mitigated. And then we need to carry out this as a policy and as programs, because yes, if we look at Nigeria in a broad space, we might say it's very infinitesimal. But come back to the north, where deforestation is on the increase. You can see the issue.
So that's actually like part of their own contribution.
Yes.
So now the area you're talking about now, you talk about loss and damages,
yes,
which are actually what funds where we come to now climate finance comes in. So if Nigeria will achieve net zero, it means they need to devise new ways of employment.
Yeah.
They need to devise new ways of living, like loss and damages. There are some communities that cannot get or cannot recover what they have lost already due to climate disasters. So if we're talking about achieving net zero, it means that Nigeria will have to look for funds to devise new jobs. Then we need finances for everything that is being run in the country at the moment.
Now,
that is being financed by...
No, there's something I said earlier on. Yeah. I said, things are not achieved spontaneously. They are achieved programmatically.
Okay.
You plan for a period.
Okay.
And over the period, you save, you invest, reinvest, and reinvest. If Nigeria wakes up today and says, we are stopping all exploration, the country will plunge itself into stagflation, stagnation, and inflation. There are two key economic terms joined together. It is the worst state of economic situation in any country. That's not what we're advocating. But we're saying, having pledged a commitment globally, what we need to do is to strategically plan a period for when we will do what? We will exit this fossil application.
They say they are exiting 2060.
Yes, 2016 is long gone.
2060.
2060, so it's a plan.
Yeah.
And when we have a plan for 2060, what is important is we start investing towards that area. We invest in education, we invest in research, we invest in our behavioral lifestyle. I'm talking behaviorally, and we also invest in our industrial process.
Okay.
These two things are key, but let me dwell on this. We look at behavior and we look at industry. Behavior in that households, collective households, need to be taught where we are moving so that everybody will learn, begin to imbibe it, and adjust to it.
Okay.
Industrially, people need to know where our policies and programs are tailored towards in our industrial aspiration. And so people begin to bring in industries in that line. People begin to develop their technologies along that path. And employment are created along that path.
So
That
where
will
you
achieve
stand
it.
now,
Yes.
where you stand now,
Yeah.
do you think Nigeria is on a course to achieve net zero by 2060?
The truth is, I won't say we have done much to achieve it.
Okay.
But there is nothing impossible when there is a will. All we need to do is
In
to
clear
make it.
terms, do you think Nigeria is on a course to achieve net zero by 2060?
As it is today, where we are is elementary. We are on elementary pathway.
So are we on track?
We have elementary pathway in that we are making discussions around it. But in terms of policies are there, but programs are not as strong as the policies. So that's why I use the word elementary. From elementary, you move to primary to tertiary, to secondary to tertiary. So by elementary, we are at the discussion level.
Okay.
Yes.
So talking about programs and all of that,
Yes.
COP29 is happening very soon, like I said from the introduction. And those are places where country goes to negotiate. Because from all we have talked about, they cannot happen except there is finances. So COP29, the achievement that COP29 is set to achieve is that there is a more higher funding apart from the $100 billion per year that is being accepted before, that is being as a commitment by developed countries to produce for developing countries. So, but this COP29 is set to produce higher funds, higher finance for it. So for it to be successful, it means that there will be more pledge for climate finance. But for Africa, but for Nigeria, with all these myriads of problems, because they need finance to do all of that. So where we are now, from the governing council, I'm talking now from the state actors now, where we are now, you think they are not very smart ways to showcase to the world that we need finances to achieve loss and damages, we need finances to actually achieve or to develop adaptation strategies, we need finances for our communities to mitigate climate actions. Although funds are there, but Nigeria has not been able to showcase to the global community that they need these funds. Is that what you're saying?
The truth of the matter is this. The role of the government is to provide an enabling environment. There is need for civil society and state actor relationship to develop clear-cut pathways that are acceptable in international space. From this place I sit as a civil society person, and from the place the state actors sit as government functionaries, we see from different prisons. I see from programmatic view, they see from policy view.
Okay.
But when we bring policy and programs together, we'll be able to show the world that we are ready. But until this fusion is achieved, and achieved systematically in such a way that the actions and programs are understandable, readable, and implementable, we may not be able to convince the global world.
So as Nigeria gears towards COP29, in simple, clear terms, where should that focus?
The focus should be develop pathways, programmatic pathways with milestones that are achievable based on our local context, that are also possible to be financed by donors based on our local context, and that can also be monitored and evaluated by donors and show forth. Funding will definitely occur. But if these are not there, donors will not do so.
Okay, so as we talk much on climate finance, a lot of people are saying that the issue of carbon credit, carbon trading, will not work in Africa. What's your view on that?
It is not as if it will not work. It will work based on 3 things. When we enhance our education around carbon credit and carbon financing, it will work. When we study the framework of why it works in places where it is working and localize, it will work. Thirdly, when we develop capacities of individuals and showing transparency, devoid of corruption, manipulation, and deceit, these things will work. If it works elsewhere, it can work in Africa. The only thing we need to do is to show that level of transparency, capacity, character, and competence around this area. Definitely it will work.
I agree with you 100% where you talk about transparency and all of that and accountability, because from where people stand, from where a lot of people are having those skepticism is that when you come for carbon credit, apart from the climate, whatever conspiracy they call it, because they feel that the Western world, the developed world, just want to keep emitting, and then they pay Africa or African countries. Okay, they'll come and buy carbon credit. I mean, that kind of trading. So some people believe that that kind of funding isn't what Nigeria needs or what African countries need at the moment. But then other people saying that it may work just like your position, but we need to show that we are capable of being accountable and transparent, because we have issues of transparency and accountability in Nigeria when it comes to implementation.
Yeah, the truth is, I am from the civil society background.
Yeah.
And I was careful with my choice of words. And I was insistent on those words because as a civil society practitioner, I know what is obtainable. Nothing cannot work in Africa if and only if we are willing to allow it to work. Let's this be established. Where it is working, they are human beings and we are human beings. But the only thing that is different is our mindset and our willingness to allow things to work. Carbon financing and carbon credit can work in Africa on the ground that, added to what I've said before, we decide to allow it to work and forget the fact that we should be the buying point. Why can't Africa be the selling point? Why should we be used for trading and be seen as not capable enough to develop? Now, accepting the fact that we should be used for trading is invariably accepting that we have decided not to develop, because carbon emission is associated with development. You cannot emit carbon when you are not developing. Okay? So what you need to do is to up your game and play in that industrialized space. So carbon emission, especially CO2, is a function of industrialization. So accepting to be paid for not industry, that's accepting to remain underdeveloped or undeveloped. There is a difference between undeveloped and underdevelopment. So if we continue to accept this, what Africa has always has accepted is we have chosen to be undeveloped or underdeveloped, but we can aspire to develop. Development is a choice. And when you choose to develop, you pay as order. Dangote refinery is a case in point. Airpeace is a case in point in aviation and several others. You just have to choose.
I was going to talk about that exactly, because if we talk about net zero, achieving net zero, it means that in some way take away carbon trading, carbon market off the table.
Yes.
In some ways, if we are committed to net zero, it means that other investment into sectors that can bring carbon, that can emit carbon, should be, on the low. So the issue of developing other refineries in Nigeria while being committed to net zero is kind of...
No, there's no contradiction.
Okay.
The refinery is built with net zero in mind.
Okay, we'd like to know more.
Yeah, I give you an instance. When I was in Tier 4, here in Yola, Adamawa State, we developed a factory for recycling plastic. Added to that recycling is a carbon compartment that will trap, that will ensure that carbon 4 oxide does not emit to the environment. If as little as we are, we can develop a factory and bring that into perspective, the bigger Dangote refinery has a higher version of that carbon trapping system in itself.
Okay, so thank you very much. Like I said, this is a series that is geared towards COP29, because a lot of ambitions, a lot of negotiations are going to be happening at COP29.
Yeah.
And Nigeria is definitely going to be part of the actors, parties that are going to be there. And so there is need for us to drive conversations towards that conference of parties. And so you have clearly stated some of your points and some of the things Nigeria should actually focus as they go into COP29. So as we bring the discussion to a close, are there other things you might like the country, the state